Hey guys, welcome back to another round of the Monster Energy Supercross Series, this week going to Houston, Texas. But before we get there, let's talk about round 12 at Seattle. Some really controversial and interesting stuff coming out of there. So without further ado, let's get to round 12. So yeah, guys, normally like to start off with the 250s first, then move on with the 450s. But after what happened with everything that happened at Seattle, I really like to start off with the 450s first and kind of tell you how I feel, because there was some controversial stuff that came out of that main event. So obviously, starting with your results from the top down, you had Marvin Musquin getting that really controversial win. Something that I don't particularly agree with, and the way that the AMA decided on still giving Marvin that win after what happened. If you guys didn't watch the race or weren't following or don't really know, Marvin jumped through a section that had medical flags in it. Chad Reed and Justin Brayton went down pretty hard, so the medical staff was dealing with those guys. And so when that happens, obviously the medical flags come out, and when the medical flags come out, obviously the riders need to roll through that section for the safety of the medical crew and as well as the injured riders. Now Marvin, I don't know if it was tunnel vision or whatnot, but he ended up not rolling through that section. He actually ended up jumping and doubling through that section, and definitely caused a little bit of a dangerous situation there. He said afterwards that he didn't see it, maybe a little tunnel vision, who knows. But anyways, the fact is that he didn't roll through that section. He actually jumped through it. So when that happened, he was leading the race, and he ended up going on to win the race. And so after everything was said and done, he still walked away with the win, but definitely had some damage done with his points and what they took away from him. So again, don't really agree with the way that Marvin still took home that win, but want to kind of dig a little bit deeper into that and just explain to you guys why they did what they did. If you guys never read the articles, there were some articles out this past week about why Marvin got the win and the rules behind that. So if you guys didn't know that, I got the rules right here, and I'll tell you about that here in just a sec about why Marv still took the win. So here we go. So basically, the rules state that during a main event race, if no positions were gained, the penalty will be the points and the purse equal to 2 positions in the final results for that race, plus 2 additional points. So basically, that's kind of the reason why AMA decided that. So when Marvin went through that section and not rolled it and ended up doubling, through that section, he was still in the lead. So obviously, he didn't gain any positions, when that happened. But he still got the win, but he got major points taken away, and he also had an additional 2 points taken away after that was said and done after that race. So that really hurt him in the point standings, and with him coming, now in second place behind Cooper Webb, really hurts him as far as the championship goes. But for me personally, looking in, yes, that gives him a big disadvantage in the points, but I still feel like he shouldn't have won. Yes, the rules are rules, and that's the way that the cookie crumbles, but I still don't feel like, he deserved that win. And I'll tell you why here. So Ken Rox and Eli Tomac, solid nights. Ken had second and Eli had third. Really hot on their heels, on Marvin's heels for the most part. And so when they came into that medical section, Ken was pretty much hot on Marvin's heels there, and was looking around and trying to make some passes, for first place and whatnot. So Ken and Eli did the right thing and saw medical flags and ended up rolling through that section. Well, Marvin doubled that. So when the section was over with, Marvin had a good size gap, obviously, because he didn't do what he was supposed to and still had that giant gap. So do I think it's fair that Marvin still had the win? No, because here's how I think of it. I think that if Marvin rolled through that section, they would all be on the equal playing field. Ken would still be behind, Marvin when they came out of that section, and, the fight would have been on. But now that Marvin, jumped that, he had a substantial lead. And the only way that Ken and Eli at that point was going to catch up to them, or up to Marvin, is if he made a mistake, which he didn't, so that's why he got the win. So I think it's unfair to Ken and Eli that they had to suffer because they were doing what was right on the track, and Marvin didn't. He took home the win. Obviously, the points standings, and the way that they took away the points definitely hurt him. But I still don't feel like he deserved that win because he was essentially in a way cheating, because he didn't follow the rules, and by the time he was, done breaking the rules, he had a substantial lead over Ken Roczen and Eli Tomac. And like I said, you can't catch someone at that point unless they make a mistake. So Ken and Eli did everything right. They tried their best, and at the end of the day, they did what they needed to do and did it the way that AMA wanted them to do. So, definitely kudos to them for following the rules, and Marvin not following the rules. Again, don't know if it was tunnel vision or not, but just one of those stupid things that really upset me, because I feel like Marvin shouldn't have gotten that win, because he got the points taken away from him, but at the same time, he still pretty much essentially cheated in that race and got that win. And I don't think that's fair to any of the riders out there. So definitely bummed about that. Definitely bummed how AMA handled that, and definitely think they should have, maybe not given him the win. But again, like I said, I read the rules. I mean, that's the way that the cookie crumbles. No arguing against that, but I wish and I hope from here on out that maybe they reconsider those rules, add another rule to that rule book, and kind of mix it up so it's fair to all the riders. Because in my opinion, Ken and Eli definitely got a little bit screwed out of that situation, and definitely not cool to see that, and just kind of bummed. So that's my take on Marvin and his win. So I don't feel like he deserved that win, and yeah, just super bummed about how that goes. So anyways, we'll move off of that. Going into the second, Ken Roczen. Again, Ken had a solid night. I mean, if it wasn't for what happened with Marvin and him jumping through the section with the medical flags, I feel like Ken definitely had a solid night to win. I mean, just was solid all night long, and definitely feeling a whole lot better than he has the last 3 or 4 weeks. He's been battling some type of an illness, don't really know what it is. He doesn't really know what it is, still trying to do some testing and figure some stuff out, but he was feeling better than what he has been here in the past. So definitely showed in Seattle, and I felt like he had a solid night and definitely had a chance to win if it wasn't for what happened with Marvin. So congratulations to Ken getting second place. I hope he feels better soon and really gets his health back to 100%, and can go out there and start winning some races and getting podiums consistently again. So we'll see what happens this week in Houston, but that will be later on in the video. So third place was Eli Tomac. Again, Eli had a great night. You never know what's going to happen with him, like I've been saying in the past with his gate starts and stuff, but put it all out there, let it have it. Got third place, and was a really solid night for Eli. So hope to see that going into Houston as well. Fourth place was Cooper Webb. Wasn't on your podium this weekend, and a little bit discouraging to see that as well with him leading the points. But what happened with Marvin, I think that definitely helped Cooper as far as the points go. Yeah, Cooper didn't get on the podium, but at the same time, Marvin got really, deducted with points and stuff like that. So I feel like, yeah, Cooper definitely didn't, so much have a good night like he should have, and to protect that points lead, but at the same time, he had some stuff working in his favor, and definitely a solid night on his part as far as protecting the lead, and he had some luck to that with Marvin Musquin doing that as well. So those are your top 4, and then moving on to your fifth place, you had Joey Sabachi, rookie of the 450s this year. Cool to see him put down a top 5 finish. Again, solid night. He's been, here and there and definitely making some statements this year. So it's really cool to see him out there putting it down with the guys, even though he's just a rookie coming in this year. So definitely look to see him continue that hot streak that he's been on, and definitely make some more improvements in his racing and his bikes and how everything works for him. But again, this rookie year, he's just been putting it down and really proving a point. And definitely, in my opinion, the strongest rookie out there come from the 250s and the 450s. So yeah, those are your top 5 for your 450s, and now I'll move on to the 250s. Again, only doing top 3s in the 250s, just for wanting to focus on some 450s 250s, more personally, and definitely more information there. So with the 250s, you had Dylan Ferrandis winning it. Definitely a solid night for him. Like I say every single week that we have the West Coast, that he's definitely always a contender for the win, and never really a surprise when you see him up on the podium and getting wins and stuff. So definitely capitalized on some mistakes that Adam Cianciarulo made during the main event. I felt like Adam was super hot on his heels, but I feel like Adam was maybe in some sections pushing it too hard. The whoop section was super long, and I think in some aspects really messed Adam up when he was going for the pass with Ferrandis. So you would see Adam get super close to Dylan throughout the race, and then I think the jitters or the nerves or what have you really got to Adam and ended up making a mistake right when he was about to pass Dylan. So that definitely helped Dylan, definitely benefited him. But as far as Adam goes, definitely suffered from that. But still a consistent night for Adam. But going back to Dylan, definitely a solid night. Had a few lucky things coming his way as far as Adam messing up. But overall, that's racing. Congratulations to Dylan getting that win, and we'll see him in Houston. Hopefully he backs that up with another win. That'd be really cool to see, or even a podium. I don't think that you won't see him on a podium. I think that from here on out, if you don't see him on a podium, then something is definitely going wrong in his way that he rides, or having a bad night. He's just been super consistent all year round, and I think that you're going to see that continue all the way to round 17 at the very end at Las Vegas. So like I mentioned, Adam Cianciarulo got second. Again, solid night for him, making a few mistakes right before passing Dylan, and that really hurt him, getting him in second. But still managed to put down a solid night, keep that red plate, and that's all you can ask for when you're the points leader. So hopefully we'll see him ready to go here in Houston and throw it down with the boys. So third place, you had the New England Ripper, Jimmy Dakotas, coming out in third. Really cool to see a podium from him, and definitely after what happened in Atlanta with him not making the race with 250 East and West Showdown, really cool to see him come back strong and get a podium. So solid night for Jimmy. Couldn't be happier. Me coming from New England, I've always been a big supporter of Jimmy. He's raced a couple of local races that I was a part of, and the series that I race at. So I've known Jimmy, don't know him personally, but I know of him and seen him at the track, here and there when he raced those races. And so he's always been a big fan in my mind, and I really love seeing him out there throwing it down with all the 250 guys, and really cool to see one of the boys from back home put it out there and do well. So Jimmy Dakotas coming in third, couldn't be happier. I hope he keeps that streak up, because it's always a good day when one of the New England boys do well out in the West Coast. So that's your top three for your 250s, and now we're going to move on to your controversial conversations. So yeah, guys, we're going to move on to the controversial conversations. Now, I already had something planned differently outside of Chad Reed for the controversial conversations this week, but after what happened to him in Seattle, definitely wanted to just reiterate kind of what I've been saying, and definitely gave me another opportunity to kind of speak of what I think about Chad Reed. Now, Chad had a really super hard get off, super bummed about him. As much trash as I talk about him and everything like that, he's a straight up guy, enjoy watching him race. And definitely feel bad for him and stuff that happened to him. But that really poses a good question of stuff that I've been talking about for the last 2 weeks with him. Is it time for him to retire now? When he crashed this past week, he ended up breaking 8 ribs, broken scapula, and he ended up having a collapsed lung. Now, he is now 37 years old. Does he now, while he's recovering, does he have time to just kind of sit back and go, geez, is it worth it? I just, hurt myself pretty bad. Is it worth it for me to stay out there and still do it, even though this is what I love to do? I don't know. That's a tough question. Now, I don't have the answer to that, but definitely something that popped into my mind after I saw what happened with Chad this past weekend. Now, he's a tough guy. I wouldn't be surprised to see him back out there after he recovers. But at the same time, I also wouldn't be too surprised if he retires because of this injury. Now, this is something that you guys should comment. Let me know what you guys think. Now, the past couple of weeks, I've been getting some comments about why Chad Reed shouldn't retire, and he's still out there getting top tens, teaching these guys some things, the younger guys and stuff like that. But now that he's hurt, and he hurt himself in a pretty good way, not a good way, but like he hurt himself in multiple ways with the broken ribs and the collapsed lung and what have you. Is this now evidence that he should retire? Is this a sign that he needs to get off the bike professionally and walk away from it? Because he's almost, he's 37, 3 more years, he's going to be 40. And, your body doesn't bounce back like it was when you were 19 and you had injuries like this. So is it time for him to get off the bike? Is it worth him getting back out there and risking it and getting an injury like this again? So that's something that I don't have the answer to, obviously, but I wonder if that crossed, his mind while he was laying in the hospital bed, or now that he's recovered, he's back home and stuff like that. So we'll see what happens there, but definitely wanted to talk to you about that and everything that happened to him and also Justin Brayton. Both of those guys had a pretty nasty crash this last weekend, so definitely thinking of them. Hope to get them all healed up and rested and get them in a better place than what they are now as far as their health goes. But yeah, now that Chad is hurt, I mean, does that change your opinion about whether or not he should retire? Do you want to see Chad back out there, risking it and, seeing him maybe potentially get hurt again like he just did in Seattle? Is it worth it for him? So those are some big questions that pop out in my mind when I saw that crash happen and saw that, he was going to be out for a little bit. And now that we know what went wrong with him, he'll definitely be out for the rest of the season trying to heal up there. So definitely like to hear some comments and everything like that about what you guys think Chad Reed should do now that he's injured. Should he get off the bike? Is it time for him to get off the bike, or does he recover and get back on it and go back out there and try to contend with the boys again? So let me know what you guys think. Leave some comments down below, and we'll talk about that next week. So yeah, guys. This week, going to Houston, Texas, round 13 out of 17. We got the Triple Crowns. I believe that this is the last and final Triple Crown of the season, closing that out. So we'll see what happens there. Obviously, like you guys know, Triple Crown is definitely a little bit of a different format as far as the races go. So that kind of plays to some favors of certain riders and some disadvantages to some other riders. So we're going to start out with the 250 class. And kind of tell you my top 3 and why I chose that. So I'm saying Adam Cincerella for first place, just because, he's been consistent now for a couple of weeks, proved himself at the showdown, came in second last week. I feel like he's on a high, and I feel like he's going to maintain that until the last round of the series. So I'm saying that you see Adam Cincerella go for it, and you see him take home that first place. I think also after last weekend being very, very close to getting that win and almost being there with Dylan and trying to pass him, but just some last-minute mistakes happened, and he fell back a little bit. I think you're going to see him kind of regain some fire and go for that win and try to beat Dylan. Now, speaking of Dylan, I'm saying you put him in for second. Again, like I said earlier in the video, it's no surprise to me to see him up there on the podium every single week. And so I think that this week is definitely no exception to that, even though it's a little bit different, format of the races and how they're run and the time period and stuff that they race. I still think that you're going to see Dylan up there unless something happens with him as far as, him crashing or a bike malfunction or something like that. But that's also true for any of the riders out there. So I'm feeling like Dylan Fernandez is going to get second. Third, definitely a little bit of more of a wild card to some degree. Not so much, but RJ Hampshire. I'm saying you put RJ Hampshire in third. Definitely had an okay night in Seattle. Wasn't great, wasn't bad. I'm saying that you see him up there in third. Would love to see Jimmy Dakotas back up there on the podium, but again, he's also been kind of here and there, and been also kind of in the same realm as RJ Hampshire. So I'm saying third for RJ Hampshire, but again, I wouldn't be surprised if you substitute him in for Jimmy Dakotas, get another podium. So those are your top three guys. You got Adam Cintrello, Dylan Ferrandez, and RJ Hampshire. So those are your top three as far as the 250s go. Now moving on to the 450s, we've got in first place, we got Eli Tomac. I'm saying Eli Tomac because I feel like the Triple Crowns definitely work in his advantage. I feel like the shorter time spans definitely make him push harder than what he does in the normal races. And like I was saying back in Daytona when he won Daytona, when the track gets rougher, he likes to push hard and go harder, and that definitely suits him a little bit better. Now, probably aren't going to see as rough of a track as Daytona. They definitely added the sand section back in this week, but the roughness isn't what I'm, focusing on. I'm focusing on that, they have a shorter time span, so he has to get up on the bars a lot more, get on that throttle a lot harder, and really push himself in that short time period. And I feel like he definitely, accelerates at that, definitely takes advantage of that situation, and definitely suits his style a little bit better than other riders. So I would not be surprised if you see Eli Tomac go for the win. He's got 3 races. That means he's got 3 gate starts to try to put it all together, and for him to get 3 solid gate starts might be a little bit of an issue just because he's been a little bit inconsistent, but you never know. He's been coming back again, 3rd place in Seattle, and really been proving himself for a while now. So I would not be surprised if you see him up in 1st place on the podium. 2nd place, I'm saying Ken Roczen. I think, again, if Ken is feeling good and this illness isn't bothering him like it was last week, I think you're going to see him get 2nd place. I would love to say that he gets 1st place and gets the win, but still don't know with this illness what it's going to be like. Is kind of here and there, and you never know when it's going to hit and when he's going to feel good and feel bad and stuff. So if he feels good, I'm saying 2nd. If he doesn't feel good, well, we'll see what happens. But think on the positive side, I say Ken Roczen feels good for this week, and you put him in for 2nd place. 3rd place, I'm saying Cooper Webb. I think that Cooper needs to bounce back from this past weekend. Obviously, he got super lucky with the way that Marvin got those points taken out and everything, and that really helped him, even though that he only got 4th place last week. So I think you need to see Cooper back up on the podium, try to defend the points lead. We're getting later into the series, and this is the time that he needs to protect his lead, not so much go for wins. Obviously, wins are very important, but at the end of the day, you need to protect your points lead and get to Vegas, take home that red plate, and take home that championship. So anytime you get up on the podium, I say it's a solid night for him. So that's what I'm saying this week. I'm saying for your podium, you have Eli Tomac in 1st, Ken Roczen for 2nd, and Cooper Webb for 3rd. Now, 4th and 5th place, I'm saying 4th, you have Marvin Musquin. I don't know, man. I think that what happened with him in Seattle kind of shook him up a little bit, and with the way that the points happened, and honestly, I feel like maybe he doesn't have so much of a fan base anymore because of what happened, and I think maybe all of that kind of has some effect on the way that he rides, and more of a mental game. I've definitely noticed. And I've also heard from different people like Alden Baker and stuff like that. Marvin is definitely more of a mental rider. If he's not feeling it mentally, he's not going to be racing that well. And I feel like after last week, I think that the mental game with him is definitely kind of a little bit lower than what he would like, and I think some things really got inside of his head because of what happened last week. So I think he's got some stuff that he's dealing with this week. So I don't feel like you're going to see him do as well as you have seen here in the past 2 weeks with him do a back-to-back win. Obviously, a controversial win last week, but besides the point, back-to-back win. But I don't think you're going to see him do as well this week. I think you're going to see him get 4th place. 5th place, I'm saying Blake Baggett. He didn't have a super solid night last week. Didn't get a top 5. Joey Sabachi took that 5th place spot. Normally where I would put Blake Baggett, but didn't see that happen last week, so hopefully he can regain some confidence, regain some energy and some mojo, and get back up there for 5th place. So I'm saying those are your top 5. Now to break it down again, we got Eli Tomac in 1st, Ken Roczen in 2nd, Cooper Webb in 3rd, Marvin Muscan in 4th, and Blake Baggett in 5th. So let me know what you guys think. Leave some comments down below of your top 5s. We'll discuss that next week. We'll see who gets the better of the decisions this week, but those are my picks and the stats that I feel like, and the picks that I feel comfortable with for the 450 class. Again, guys, thanks for watching. Hope you guys have a good rest of your week. Have a safe weekend, and we'll talk to you guys soon. Have a good night.